This review has been brought to you in part by Eirsoft.ie.
Hello and welcome back again to Oddie's Airsoft. This time around it's not going to be a review, it's going to be more of a spotlight informational type video. We all love to play with nice toys, that's why we go playing Airsoft. There's no two ways about it. And when you have nice toys, it's nice to make them look good. And there's no better way to make them look good than adding accessories such as tack lights, lasers and so forth. But one of the most practical accessories we can add to our AEG is a sight. Yeah? Now most sights that I see in use are what you'd call red dot sights. Some of them more appropriately might be called reflex sights. So let's look at a couple of them. I must apologise in advance. This video may be a bit broken up to a few different chunks because I got to swap the sights around different guns. So bear with me and we'll have a look at what's available. First up, one of the coolest sights anywhere is the Aimpoint Micro T1. Possibly better suited to smaller guns like this TMMP7 or an SMG of some sort, but there's no doubt that they look amazing. Now I have seen them on M4s and they look equally well, but I just think in terms of proportion it looks superb on this AEG. Battery gets inserted here, and you have the red or green dot to target with. What really impresses me with this T1, and to be honest it's the first one I've seen, is that the optics are crystal clear. Absolutely crystal clear. Now the dot itself isn't absolutely sharp, but it's more than adequate for airsoft use. But the glass they've used in the sight itself seems to be very nice indeed. So yeah, very nice. For, as I say, first time I've seen one, I'm very impressed. Next one up is a Reflex Red Dot sight that is quite common. You see it on a fair few Irish airsoft sites. It's very simple, but it's effective. It works quite well. The only thing I have found with this particular sight is that it can be affected a little bit by ambient light. You know, getting reflection, shadows and so forth. So that's one possible downside to it. But you know, it's, as I said, it's simple, it works. And because it's so simple, it's going to be reliable. It's also one of the not necessarily the most expensive dot sights you're going to find out there in the airsoft world. Moving on to what is probably the most common sight out there. And you know, people call these hollow sights. They're not hollow sights. In the real world, yes, the real EOTech is a hollow sight. But in the airsoft world, if we were to get genuine hollow sights, they'd be costing us several $100s, so that's why we have the poor cousin, which is the red dot. But there's no doubt that it does look very well. Very easy to acquire a target with. One of the things that I learned pretty early on when I started using sights, I mean, when I started airsoft, obviously I was just using the standard sights that came with the gun. But once I started using red dot sights, it does make a big difference to target acquisition, especially you know, when the op4 is very close to you, you know, sort of inside 25 yards. It does make a difference because, I mean, there's both eyes open, just move the gun, your eyes do adapt to it, and you will find it does make a difference. So if you haven't tried a red dot sight, very much worth having a look at. Of the three we've looked at here, this is probably the most expensive of the three so far. Now you can get varying quality in each of these sights. For, let's say, an EOTech clone, you can pay sort of anywhere from 55 euros, you know, maybe $50, all the way up to $150. Now the main difference that I've seen between in the quality of different sights is the clarity of the reticle. If you're not particularly bothered how good the clarity of the reticle is, then, you know, save yourself some money and get one of the cheaper ones. Because at the end of the day, it's airsoft we're playing. And I'm not entirely sure exactly how much difference it's going to make to your skirmishing. If you are going to go for a sight like this, I do recommend you get something like the Element lens cover. The first two we looked at, going to be difficult to protect them. Obviously for the T1, you could probably get some sort of flash kill on the front, which will protect the front optic. This particular reflex sight, I've yet to see any sort of protective cover available for them. Yes, they do tend to come with a little rubber sleeve to protect it when it's in transit, but not when you're actually using it. Alright, so next sight we're going to look at should be familiar to a lot of you. It's based on the design commonly known as the SUSAT. Now I'm sure that's an acronym for something, but I have no idea what it is. Where you see these most commonly in use is on SA80s, or in airsoft terms the L85. Interesting looking sight. This one has some magnification built in, but I honestly don't know what it's rated at in terms of magnification power. It's not illuminated, but there are some versions that are, I believe. The one thing that's very impressive with this particular sight, and it's the one thing that I keep hearing about the SUSAT, but its aiming prowess, is that the reticle really does make a difference to the aiming. Now, if you've ever seen the pictures of a SUSAT reticle, you'll know it's sort of like a pyramid which comes to a point, a very slim pyramid which comes to a point in the center of the sight. And it does look impressive, and I can see how it would be effective in acquiring targets. Having said that, I mean, one of the issues that I typically have, even though I've got very good eyesight, I usually have problems with eye relief on any sort of sight that has magnification on it. So I think maybe if I was to set it up optimally for myself, I'd probably have to remove the rear iron sight and move the SUSAT back further to get the best out of it. But I can certainly see how effective that would be. Now, one thing you will find with a lot of sights that have magnification built in is that you typically get rudimentary iron sights as well, for when you've got closer engagements, and that's what these are for here. Again, not very fancy, very low tech, but it works. So that's the SUSAT, and we move on to the next sights now.
All the sites in this video are available at Eirsoft.ie.